everyone. Welcome. I am Ruth Burke here of So Fully Me here on YouTube and Instagram. Welcome back to my channel. I'd like to say a huge welcome and thank you to all my new subscribers, and if you're new here, welcome. This is where I share all of my stitchy projects. Usually I talk about sewing, quilting, knitting, and cross stitch. But today, this is an unusual episode. I'm just talking cross stitch. So if that's not your hobby, no worries, come on back. I will be posting in another week or two my usual recap of all the things I've been stitching. And I'd love to have you join me there. But if you do cross stitch or you're just curious, feel free to stick around. As usual, I will link everything I talk about in the description box below, so if you need any of the supplies or you're curious about any of the downloads, look there. Alright, so without any further ado, let's talk thread drops. And I would just like to say this is the third time I am filming this. I thought it was going to be so easy to film a short, quick video, and it turns out it's more complicated than I thought. So let's talk thread drops. What are thread drops? Well, if you're a cross stitcher, you know that there are two main ways that cross stitchers typically store their thread. Either on bobbins or on thread drops. And this is the package of thread drops that I purchased when I first, actually I didn't purchase this, I was gifted this. I was gifted this package of thread drops when I first started cross stitching, and I've been using them and I love them. I used to use bobbins, but since I've tried the thread drops, I really like them. So I've become a thread drop person, and they look like this. I really love this shape. The like egg or teardrop shape really has worked well for me. But recently I did a lot of new starts. I started kitting up a lot of cross stitch projects, and I was running low and really impatient, and I didn't want to wait to order some. I have a Cricut, and I thought, like, this seems like a basic shape. I should be able to cut this out on my Cricut. And I did, and I want to share about it because when I initially looked on YouTube, I really couldn't find that much information on how to do it. And this is not going to be a design space tutorial. This is just going to be tips and tricks how I cut out my thread drops, the materials, the general idea of what I did. If you have specific questions, please put them in the comment box below. I'd be happy to answer them. But these are just sort of my general tips, my advice on what I did and how to get the best results. First things first, materials. I highly recommend going with the absolute thickest thing that you can find. And for me, that was this heavyweight poster board that I purchased from Target. I cannot say enough good things about this material. It's very sturdy. I initially wanted to put pretty designs onto my thread drops, and unfortunately I can't feed this into my laser printer. But it is very, very sturdy. And when I cut out my thread drops, it's almost identical to the Access Commodity thread drops that I had been using. Nearly identical. It is very, very hard to tell them apart. So if you're looking for something and you love those white thread drops that you buy from Access Commodities, try the poster board. It's probably going to work for you. So use the poster board or another very heavyweight material I'll give you another suggestion in a minute. But after you select your material, select a shape that pleases you. I went with an oval teardrop shape, which I will show you right here. So this is the shape that I selected, and I cut 2 holes, and this is really like nearly identical to the Access Commodities ones. I cut 2 holes, a 1/4 inch hole at the top and a 7/8 inch hole at the bottom. And my big piece of advice when you're cutting your holes, make sure you have enough cardstock or poster board between your inner hole here and the outside edge of your thread drop. If there's not enough material here, and I did make this mistake and cut one, unfortunately I threw it out, otherwise I'd show it to you. If this is too thin, your thread drop, like when you pull this thread to tighten it around your thread drop, it bends and it's really hard to use. So I like a really nice amount of cardstock or poster board here. So definitely give yourself room. Make your thread drop wide enough to have the room. But these are my standard go-to thread drops. This teardrop shape with the 2 holes works for me every time. I was able to get 20 out of 1 sheet of the poster board. There are 12 sheets in a package, and this is what my sheet looked like when I was done. I saved it to show you. Oh, that's the back. Here's the front. There was another, oh, see it's bending. There was another piece down here that I cut off so I could show you. This is what you have left after you cut out 20. You can cut 3 more out of this. However, I am a busy mom. I have 4 kids. I do not have time to trim this little piece off and cut more thread drops every single time I cut thread drops. So it is not worth it. The time investment in trimming this is not worth it to me. I will just be cutting 20 thread drops out of each sheet and calling it a day. But if you really want to maximize the number you get from each sheet, you can get more than 20. But I will not be. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Oh, it's very, very sturdy. Let me just show you here. It does not bend that much. I mean, really, very sturdy thread drops. Love it. Almost identical to the Access Commodity ones, which is what I was going for initially. However, I really wanted pretty thread drops. Initially, my idea was to print sewing motifs, but I wanted something that was more than just white. And so I purchased this package of cardstock, 110-pound cardstock from Michaels. Really the most important piece of information here is the 110 pound. You really, really, really need thick cardstock. And this was the thickest I could find. It needs to be cardstock so you can feed it through your printer and put pretty designs on it. But I would not go any lighter than 110 pounds. And then I downloaded some pretty designs, like these. And this was a free download. I'll link it below. And I just printed out some designs on my cardstock. So I used that one. I used this one, which was a little bit of a smaller scale floral, which actually, there we go. So you can see I cut out some different shapes. And then I also, this one didn't work out so well, but these ones did. I printed out this pretty, floral design. And then I cut out some thread drops. So here's what those looked like. Here's the small scale floral. Oh wait, is that the small? No. Not that you guys care that much, but like here's my small scale floral, which I really loved because I could see like all the flowers on it. It was so pretty. Here's my large scale floral. Also beautiful, just a different look. Here are the pink ones I cut out, some egg-shaped ones. These are some tag-shaped ones, and this is just a square. I just picked a square with a width. It just barely fits my floss, honestly. The square ones didn't come out so well. These turned out really nicely. They're pretty. I like using them. They're just a little bit thinner. You can see how much this bends. So much thinner than the Access Commodities, the ones I cut that are like the Access Commodities ones. But to me, the pretty designs, I still enjoy using them. I don't mind that they're thinner, but again, I really would not go much thinner than 110 pounds. I just think you start sacrificing usability when you get that thin. I mean, this is as thin as I would go. And I think that's it. Like my main tips are, go with thick materials, be careful with your hole punching, not to get too close to the edge, pick a shape you love, and again, the thickest materials you can find. I will link to all the products and downloads I used below in case you're interested. And hopefully that answers all your questions, or at least gives you enough information to go make some of your own. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching and have a great week. Happy Thanksgiving if you're in the US and you're celebrating. And if you're not, or even if you are, happy stitching, everyone. I'll be back in a week or two with my regularly scheduled episodes. Bye.